Hi, guys. Welcome back to our Movement for Healing class, week 2.
I know, it's exciting.
Yeah, moving right along. So, this week we're going to be looking at using movement for anxiety and how we can kind of release some of our anxiety through different kinds of movement and grounding exercises. But first, kind of want to go through a little bit about how anxiety manifests as body sensations. It's not just racing thoughts. I know that's kind of how we like to view anxiety, is like kind of thoughts spiraling around in our head. But um, it can also look like rapid or shallow breathing, increased heart rate, excessive sweating, chest pain, stomach pain, headaches, and other muscle aches. And you can think like, wow, that's a lot of symptoms. Like they don't always mean that there's anxiety there, but it's important to be aware that sometimes anxiety can manifest in these physical ways, especially if they are unrelated to other medical conditions. We can maybe map it back to if we are feeling especially anxious in those moments.
I love this. It's perfect.
So we can use some grounding techniques when we are feeling anxious. Anxiety kind of takes us out of the present moment and gets us stuck in our heads. And some ways to reorient ourselves in the present are to ground through your feet, feel your feet connecting to the ground underneath you. You can visualize roots anchoring you into the earth and feel the strength and stability that provides. And that will kind of bring you back to the moment and to your body. Another helpful technique is progressive muscle relaxation. And this is kind of working through your body, starting at your feet. Tense each muscle group as you inhale, and then hold that tension and then release it with an exhale and move through your whole body, tensing muscles and then releasing them. And that can kind of just soothe your whole body and release tension through your whole body. I know, Brandy, you have recommended doing this at night if you wake up in the middle of the night and you can't sleep. You kind of get stuck in your thoughts about like, oh my gosh, now I'm not going to get enough sleep tonight. And working through this progressive muscle relaxation in bed can kind of bring you back to your body and can help your body feel relaxed so you can get back to
I
sleep.
love this. And I think that this is so interesting because we're talking about anxiety and how it can help heal some anxiety. But I find that it's fascinating that it can also help with depression. It can help with trying to reconnect yourself with the OCD patterns or complications that are getting in the way, or if you're getting hyper fixated on something. And I think that this is such a great way to do it. And you bring up a great point about the being at, having trouble sleeping in the middle of the night. And it's interesting because what happens is we get really upset and angry. And this type of body awareness and grounding techniques can cause us to release some of that adrenaline that kind of comes in. And how could that also help with maybe emotional intelligence as well, which I think is really fascinating.
Yeah. Anytime we kind of recognize somatically what we're feeling in our bodies, it can help us connect our mind and our bodies and can regulate our emotions a little bit easier. But yeah, I love what you said about using it also with OCD and those moments where we feel hyper fixated. It can kind of like separate you from that fixation and just reground you in the present moment and in your body. So I really like that. And jumped ahead a little bit. Next week is movement for depression. So
well, there you go.
Stay tuned for that. So another fun grounding technique that I really enjoy using is shaking exercises. So have you experienced moments where you feel the adrenaline going through your body and you
Mhm.
feel shaky almost.
100%. Yes.
So that's our
Mhm.
body's natural response to danger and threat. I mean, you see it in animals too,
Mhm.
like after, they've um, resolved some kind of threat, like they will like shake, it'll be like tremors.
Mhm.
And that's our body's natural way for releasing tension and process that excess energy. And so this shaking exercise can stimulate that response and to release some of that anxiety. Um, so do you want to
Let's do it.
try that
Yeah,
with
let's
me?
do it.
Okay.
Okay.
So just start by, and we're just going to do some handshaking. The thing with this exercise is you can do it with any part of your body. You can do your whole body. You can do legs, anywhere that you're feeling kind of shaky or you need to release some of that. But for this exercise, just
Let's do
for
it.
spatial
Mhm.
purposes, thought we'd just do some hand shaking. So start by just kind of shaking your hands, just however you need to move them in a way that feels good. You can like move it into your arms and kind of like let your hands kind of shake your whole arms. And just while you do this, imagine that your anxiety and your stress or your anxious thoughts and feelings are just flicking
I like that.
out the end of your fingers, just flicking it away or releasing those anxious thoughts. And you can do this for however long feels good. Um, but when you're ready, go ahead and ground your hands onto the desk in front of you or to the floor, wherever is accessible for you, and put some pressure into the palms of your hands so that you're pushing against whatever is below them. We'll go ahead and just take a few deep breaths here. We'll go ahead and inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. And one more inhale through the nose. And exhale through the mouth. And this pushing, this pressure helps to ground that shaking feeling and release it back kind of through the floor and through whatever it is that you were pushing against. So go
It's
ahead
like
and
giving it
release
back.
that. Yeah.
I like
Yeah, kind of giving it back and letting it go. So how does that feel?
I like it. It's interesting because I can feel like my arms being a little bit tired,
Yeah.
and I think that that's good because it's like release that
It means you've
adrenaline.
let go of something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like that kind of thing. I also find it interesting because we talk about shaking today, but just a couple of other like ideas around this is you'll also see people that like roll their necks,
Mm-hmm.
and that's like another way that some people
Yeah.
will do it.
Releasing tension in the neck. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
I my way that I tend to do it is I like to rub my arms.
Oh yeah.
So like I'll catch myself rubbing my
Mm-hmm.
arms and I'll even go down to like the tips of my fingers and push out
Yeah.
all of the tension like into my out of my fingers
Yeah.
and like really like an aggressive kind of like
Yeah.
massage-ish
Yeah.
rub that kind of goes through to kind of like bring me back
Mm-hmm.
and here. I also find that it's interesting that when I see clients start grounding in my office, they might not even know that they're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
They'll almost do like a shiver,
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah.
huh,
When something
like
yeah.
yeah, like when especially when I'm working through trauma,
Mm-hmm.
I'll see like that shiver that kind of goes like, or they'll make like an actual
Yeah.
like type of
The big exhale.
yeah, a big exhale, kind of that kind of like, okay, get back into the groove of things, get
Mm-hmm.
back going. And we do that naturally without
Yeah.
even knowing that we do
Yeah.
it. So some people they'll tap their foot,
Yeah.
like
Oh
feel
yeah.
their foot like sit
Mm-hmm.
and bounce up and down.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like their way of kind of like feeling that anxiousness.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll
That's
like
that's a good example of this, right? Like
yeah,
that's our body like naturally engaging in that shaking
yeah,
that
trying to get
shaking
rid of
pattern.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so fascinating to me. So being aware of like how you do your own
Mhm.
grounding. Like,
Mhm.
this is a great opportunity for you to be aware of
Mhm.
yourself and how you naturally maybe do it, but then also give yourself a couple of other ideas of how to
Yeah.
do it more aggressively, like with the shaking of the arms, like Jody had us do,
Yeah.
the deep breathing, maybe even the rubbing might be
Mhm.
really great. Like sometimes rubbing my jaw or my face can
Yeah.
be helpful to like bring me back into the present moment.
There are so many grounding exercises,
Hmm.
right? And like you find what works for you. It's not a one size fits all
Right.
situation. Find the grounding exercise that works for you and integrate it into your daily routine so that it becomes easier to use when you do find yourself in those moments when
Hmm.
you are experiencing anxiety. Your body will have an easier time just naturally gravitating towards doing those
Right.
exercises.
One thing I do like to do too is I also like to go back, like, I like the movement and understanding movement through grounding techniques.
Hmm.
And I find that it's interesting that it goes back to like the five senses,
Hmm.
like that smell and touch and
Hmm.
taste and hear, maybe this
Yeah.
sight,
Sight,
see.
yes.
And so, like, really diving deep into those things can be really helpful too. And this is a really great way of movement, of like, and then you did touch, which you
Mm.
touched the counter and put
Hmm.
pressure, like firm pressure into that. I thought that was really
Yeah.
great. So,
Yeah. Yeah. So play around with it and,
mhm.
try it with your whole body.
Yeah.
If you have the space for it, that can be kind of fun
Right.
to
A
just get
little
up and
ridiculous.
shake your whole
Like,
body.
I know that we used to do it in kindergarten. My kindergarten
Yeah.
teacher is like, okay, we need to get the wiggles out, right?
We need to give ourselves as adults more permission to play,
I think
I
so
think.
too.
So,
Right.
yeah, have fun with it. It's something that you can kind of try yourself, and as you kind of go throughout your week and throughout your day, be mindful of where you experience anxiety in your body, like going back to those body sensations. Kind of note what comes up for you. You can even draw an outline of your body and kind of color in where you feel those
Yeah.
feelings, like feel the
Mhm.
anxiety and feel the tension.
We do that a lot here in
Hmm.
therapy where we draw like the diagram and have the kids or even adults, I say kids, but it's really adults too, that shows like the anger, the frustration in this
Hmm.
tummy area, or feeling tied up in the neck or the
Yeah.
shoulder area, and actually drawing it. I think
Yeah.
that's a great idea, Jody.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So
mhm.
it can be enlightening to kind of see where you feel that, because maybe you have a body sensation that you haven't really thought about, and you notice it and you can kind of map it back to feeling anxious about something. So it's a helpful technique to use. You can be mindful about when you are kind of leaving the present moment, when you feel yourself getting stuck in your
Mhm.
head, and practice some of those grounding exercises to refocus your attention onto the present moment. And then try releasing some of that anxious energy by shaking parts of your body that are holding tension, um, and just moving around to release it. So,
I love that. Yep.
yeah.
We need a little more movement, a little bit more vocal humming
Yeah, vocals
movement.
are good to
Hmm.
incorporate as well, because especially like humming, you can feel the vibration in your whole body. So that's
Hmm. It grounds
another
you.
good technique. Yeah.
Yep. And the reason why we want to ground ourselves, right? And I think it's because we get so caught up in the everyday moments
Mm-hmm.
of the autopilot.
Mm.
And grounding ourselves can get us to a place where we just don't go through the motions of feeling anxiety,
Mm-hmm.
but we really feel like, oh, now that I know that anxiety is here because I'm aware, now that I know it, I'm here, now I can ground myself to help myself kind of get out of it.
Yeah.
And so using some of these techniques to release some of those symptoms is a great way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's all we have for
Mhm.
you today. But again, next week we'll be using movement to help alleviate some symptoms of depression. So we'll see you next time for that.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.